we are connecting communities. And I am with one of my favourite people, Viv Allanson, the CEO of Maroba. Hello, Viv.
Hi, Gracie. How are you?
Really well, thank you. So you've had a big job lately.
Sure have. It's been very exciting times. I always like to sit in the front row of the roller coaster.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm certainly in the front row right now.
With your arms up?
Arms up and screaming.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
So tell us a bit, so Maroba is an aged care facility. Tell us a little bit about what you do and your organisation.
So Maroba's been around for, I think it's nearly 70 years, so just over 65, 66 years. 1954 we started as a little cottage aged care service in Mayfield. It used to be an old maternity home. And of course, then Maroba's grown over all of those years, and now we care for 153 residential care people and 23 self-care villas. And we offer services for people in the community that want to come in and have some social engagement and wellness programs. So we've diversified the business, but I have to say over time, aged care has become a very challenging environment in which to deliver quality services. And that's certainly been really tested at this time. And, aged care, I think for the most part, over recent years has not been, a favourite cousin of the health service, given that we are now in a Royal Commission. I think that speaks volumes as to where it's at. But I think the sad thing is the community don't realise that aged care has been set up to fail. The whole funding model, all of those things has set us up to fail. So, for instance, over, say, a 10-year period, I'm just trying to remember the exact numbers, so I may not be correct, but for instance, wages have gone up probably, in maybe say 38%, because we're on enterprise agreements, which is fair because our workers are the lowest paid workers probably in the country. But they do a most magnificent and noble job. Then you've got the subsidies. How much have they gone up over the same period? It's probably about 18%. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that this is a sector that's set up to fail financially. And when you've got those levers, you've got a problem then because, wait a minute, on the other side of the ledger, you've got the Parliament and the politicians and the legislators and the Department of Health and Ageing singing a song to families and older people. You can expect more from your aged care service. And by the way, we're going to put more compliance upon them and have greater expectations of them. And in that time, we're going to freeze their funding as well, so they can't get any more money, even though all their costs have gone up. So this is the background we're in and how we ended up in a Royal Commission. But now you add COVID-19 to that scenario and we've got the perfect storm.
So when you say that aged care is like set up to fail, what you're saying is aged care, if you're going to really care for your clients, is set up to fail. Because I know sometimes you can pay the lower rates and the owners or private owners can, and this is why the Royal Commission has happened, can facilitate an aged care facility, but not well based on what you're saying. So it's actually the care and the expectations, of the care factor is what's been set up to fail.
Yeah. And look, there's some private operators out there that do a great job.
Yeah.
They've managed to just get things just right for their service.
Yeah.
But they too are suffering.
Yeah.
So we also must remember that the government welcomed aged care to go on the stock market. Now, who'd have thought that in a nation where the primary deliverer of aged care services was the charitable, not-for-profit, faith-based sector for decades. But then private operators come in and there's no problem with that. We should have, a good market share and people taking responsibility, whether they're for profit or not for profit. So it's not that so much they're not for profit. But then the government said, well, look, let's introduce the aged care providers are on the stock exchange. So we know that shareholders have incredibly high expectation around getting a dividend, making something significant on their investment. Where does that money come from? See, even the financial challenges that I have, if ever there's a surplus, where does that go? Where do you think that goes? Well, doesn't buy some owner somewhere a new Ferrari, doesn't buy a football team, doesn't buy a family holiday house. It goes straight back into the service. So that's the difference with the not-for-profit sector. But yet in the not-for-profit sector, and I don't think this often gets taken into account, there are people that are taken into the aged care services of the not-for-profits that others may not find attractive. That others may find they're too challenging. Look, it's not going to have the right look for us, or we haven't got the resources to give them the care they need. Now, we all get those people, but again, in the not-for-profit sector, you'll find where are the listed companies out in a small rural town. Well, you probably don't know, I won't send you on a Google search, but you won't find them there. Because the not-for-profit sector is out there in the hard places. And everyone, the sector, is on its knees financially.
So, and this is something that you and I talk about, but I'm living now with my dad. So I understand from what is needed. And so from an organisation perspective, how has COVID impacted your organisation?
It's impacted us dramatically. It has challenged every part of the business and is draining us financially. So some people have this view that if your facility has visitor restrictions and some people call it lockdown. I don't call it lockdown because we've still had circumstances where we're bringing people in to see their loved ones and creating other opportunities. So I don't call it lockdown. I think that's a harsh term, but it's a commonly used term. But people have said, oh, well, they're just lazy. They've taken the lazy option by locking up their services. But I can tell you it's a lot cheaper to run a service that's open to every man and his dog. It is hard work running a service and providing mental and social and physical well-being to 155 people than it is in a lockdown situation. So there's the challenge for us, that we are having to take into account those special needs, the emotional needs, as we always do, but now it's on steroids because there's no families here to support them in those different sorts of ways. And so it's calling on every bit of our humanity, every heartstring of our whole team, not just the leadership of the team, but the whole team, to deliver a completely wholesome package of individual service and intervention for our residents. Because guess what? They've been through wars. Some have been through, pandemics and, all sorts of traumas and dramas and catastrophic global events. And they can teach us something. And I have to say, I've learned a lot from the older people in our care over this time. And I've learned about encouragement. I've learned about, hey, Viv, we're okay. We're doing all right. So you keep holding the fort. I feel like I should have one of those Indian feathers and, be tarry-hooting around the fort and holding off the virus because they're wanting to know they're safe. But then, you know, they're not so selfish that they're only worried about themselves. They're saying, Viv, we're doing great, but I'm worried about my daughter. I'm worried about my son. I'm worried about my grandchildren. Are they going to be okay? So there's this beautiful heart piece in all of this as to how older people are expressing themselves and articulating their fears and their concerns and their anxieties. But then off they go and they're having an amazing time socially. You know, and then or off they'll go to the beauty salon and have their nails done or their feet massaged, and then unpack in those moments what's happening for them. But they're okay with it because they've been through so much more in their lives than we ever have. We've had the easy road, but they've been there before, so they're cool. I mean, everyone else out there is saying, "Oh, but I haven't seen my mum," or "I'm worried." You know, we're seeing that played out nationally, but the residents are saying, look, you know, we know how to have a good time. We know how to worry, but we know how to articulate and unpack that, and we know how then to stay in a place of peace. And so they're teaching us that. But the human side is so precious, as I see staff saying, Viv, can I come on my day off because it's so-and-so's birthday and I want to do something special for them because their family aren't here. You see, for Mother's Day, I had so many staff come in and volunteer because we don't have the resources to do all the connection and outside of the normal care regime. People came in on their days off and delivered the care, delivered the special over-the-top extra service because they wanted to see the smile on their face.
And I think that's really important. Like, I think that seeing it's amazing, you know, that and that's the relationship that staff have and your organization. It's a kudos to you. And I think, you know, I remember when you had the whole Scott Morrison and the interview with Channel 9 and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, if my father was in there, I would want, if you trust the organization and if you trust the place that you have put your parent, because you are responsible, like I am responsible for my parent, if you trust them to care for your parent, so you trust that that's going to be played out and that's where it is. If you don't trust them, because you might not have put them in a facility that's, you know, you would have seen the issues arise before this.
Yeah.
So
well here's the thing. I will never ask a family member or a resident to trust me.
Okay.
I have to earn it.
Yeah.
Now, in today's world, people, you know, communicate very well, and so people come in here, never met me before, but they have already raised the bar on their trust of this organisation. And I'm very quick to say, well, look, I'm glad you're happy that you've got a bed. They said, Viv, we feel we've won the lotto. We got a bed at Maroba. That's awesome. I said, well, look, I'm glad you're happy, but let me make you a promise. And I said, oh, well, what is that? And I said, well, I'm going to promise you we will let you down. Yeah, we will let you down, because what we bring into our daily work, our daily calling, is our whole humanity. And did you know what? We're a broken humanity. Every one of us that works here at Maroba has our own frailties. We aren't perfect. So therefore, I know on the balance of probabilities, we will let you down at some point. And I go, oh, really? Oh, okay. And I said, yeah, but will you make me a promise? Because I've just promised you that. Will you promise me that when something isn't quite right, if you feel in your gut that it's not quite right, or you feel your mum's telling you a consistent story, or you feel that we've missed something important, will you promise me you will communicate quickly to us? Don't go away and keep a diary about it and then bring it up with Channel 7 2 years down the track when your mother's had a terrible time, because I see that on the national news like you do, and that breaks my heart, because I think If you do not like what's happening in the aged care service, you should remove your parent. And it is terrifying to me to see someone say, yeah, but I kept a diary for 2 years. I didn't bring it up with the facility, or I didn't do this, or I didn't take it there. I just was watching them. That is not love. That is tragic. We should be saying, because I know if my mother was in a care facility that I did not have regard for, or I felt something was going wrong, I would either get it resolved quickly with the management, or I would remove them and say, you know, and people say, oh, but we're powerless. No, you're never powerless. You're never powerless. And if there's good leadership in the organisation, they will help you to move your loved one. So if someone here wants to move, or they've moved, the family's moved away and they want to move, we will help facilitate that move. There's no bad feeling. It's okay, it didn't work out for you, because every aged care service has a personality. And our personality may not suit everybody. Suits many, suits the most. And the lovely thing is, most families here are writing to me, ringing up, putting comments on Facebook, how much they appreciate the information they've been given, how transparent we are, how real we are. We're not holding anything back from them, and what the job that we are doing, they feel that they can rest at night knowing their mum or dad or gran and pop, aunt or uncle are safe. Now, can I guarantee we won't get an infection here? No, I can't. But I can guarantee I'm going to give it all I've got to protect every soul here.
That's awesome, Viv. That's amazing. And I think, you know, lots of people need to hear this. And now, you are a Walt Disney extraordinaire fan. You've done the Walt Disney leadership. Where's your ears? There they are. Oh, no, there's your hat, your graduation cap. Yes. How has your training through, you know, the happiest place on the planet, and that's what you bring to Maroba, and that's what Maroba is. It's such a beautiful space. I've been there. How has the Walt Disney Leadership Institute helped you through this time?
Well, I guess it's my connection to fun, and I'll put that there so I can see it on my desk and remind me. But I've made a promise to staff at my very first staff meeting. It'll be 26 years on the 4th of June. My very first meeting, I said, I promise you I will leave when I stop having fun. And the Disney connection is, I never got to go to Disneyland as a child, and only when I was an adult. So I got the adult Disney experience, and then I did the people management at the Disney Institute. But that program just reinforced to me the importance of relationship. If we have positive relationships with our people, now, does that mean it's glorious all of the time? No. It means that the relationship is such that you can have those frank and very real, heartfelt conversations with people,
yep,
to help them stay on track and be the best that they can be. So COVID has been a real test, yep, on relationships, because guess what? People are working every day of the week. So, for instance, the senior leaders here, you know, yeah, they might be at home, but they're not having a day off. Yep. I mean, I had to go and send myself off for a COVID test. I had to put myself on the bench for 7 days. I needed a break. I needed a rest. I didn't get that. I worked 7 days, not 5, but 7 days. And every one of my team is doing the same. Yep. So we're all a bit tired and, you know, fractious and precious, yep, and all of those things, for the sake of being present for these residents, so that we can keep being the eyes and ears for families and of the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission, because we know they're not coming in, and we want to be responsible and have extra eyes and be more alert even than normal, so that we might pick up things that might not be going quite well. But the relationships through fun are absolutely vital. Yep. And if, like, you know, I had a moment this week where it became quite tense, but I had to find there's a joy moment in that. I had to find something humorous in that. At the same time as being very frank and very robust in the conversation. But a leader once said to me, when I was invited to speak at their organisation, the staff at the strategic planning group said, Viv, would you come and play volleyball with us? And I said, oh, that'd be fun. I'd love to do that. I'm not very fit, but I'll give it a go. And off I went, and I had a game of volleyball with them. And then they said, well, look, dinner's at 6, so we'll see you at dinner. I said, yeah, that'd be fabulous. But I didn't see a sign of the CEO. He'd been in the session, but he was absent. And it was interesting. We go to dinner, and I move around all the tables and get to talk to all the staff. And one of the staff said, Viv, look, I've been following your career. I've got every newspaper clipping, and I just love what you do, and I'd love to be like that. And I just thought, wow, isn't that precious? Where's the CEO? Anyway, at 8 o'clock he arrived, and I said, look, is everything all right? Has something happened? You were absent. I said, no, everything's all right. He said, look, Viv, you're a bit naive, but you'll work it out eventually. He said, you don't get too friendly with these people because one day you'll have to sack them. Now, that was Leadership 101 from him. And I thought, my goodness, I'd rather be putting my arms around somebody I have to sack rather than, gee, don't get close to them because you'll have to sack them. I want to know their circumstances so that I can be the best I can be to them in that moment. And again, that's gets back to relationship and how you lead yourself and how you lead others, because leading yourself particularly through this crisis time has been really important for me. And people have to keep telling me, Viv, you need to slow down or you need to take a rest. Yes, I know that, but I'm the captain of this ship. And there's, in leadership, you could take everybody's advice and I could go and say, all right, look, okay, then I'll go and have a week holiday. Sorry, if something goes down, they're all going to say, we heard it with the Prime Minister, why was he in Hawaii when the country's on fire? Okay, why is Viv on a holiday when Maroba's, crawl all over with infection? Now, I have to stay the course. So there we call on resilience. How do we maintain resilience? Relationship. Through relationship. So the person that says to me, Viv, can you take a break? I said, look, I'd rather you throw your arms around me and give me a hug. That'll be a break for me. Because you know what? I'm a hugger. Guess what? I haven't been able to hug anyone for a long time. And someone said to me, oh, well, that's not very professional. What sort of a workplace do you run there? Well, a hugging and loving one. So it's very tricky times, but that resilience through relationship is really, really important.
So what have you learned or are learning through this process? So step back. You were, when the earthquake happened, you were thrown as the head of nurse, back early in your career. You were
Yes.
thrown in to a similar sort of crisis. What have you learned through this?
I've learned about, back then, it was about communicate. But if I hadn't had relationship with the people that I was communicating and remember directing, not collaborating, not consulting, but I was directing.
Yeah.
So it's when you have to become the autocrat to lead in a crisis.
Yep.
So back then it was definitely I had to, but because I had relationship, there was trust. People obeyed, people were very ready to help and do whatever I asked them because they needed to see a leader, they needed to see somebody that was prepared to stand with them and in front of them. Yeah. In front, taking the first hits all the time. And people needed to see that. So in this episode, we have a COVID team and our director of care, given this is a clinical medical health crisis. She is our natural leader for that. So I say, I'm still the captain of this ship, but she's our general at the moment. Yep. And has authority. So I'm not making decisions unless I put them through her first. So it's important that those leadership lessons carry through. So yes, the circumstances are different, but yet it's still a crisis. So it's communicate, and communicate from a place of, I guess, strength, not power, but strength, using the strengths that I have to know the organisation, to know its capacity. So, you know, for instance, I see someone working really hard and I just say, I want you to go home. You're going to burn out. You're not doing it. The best way you can serve our organisation today is you get out of here.
Yep.
And it's that, again, I'm commanding and controlling in that moment, but it's also, if I don't know the people, I'm going to let them all burn out because they're all working so hard. They're all wanting to do their bit, not seeing themselves going to the edge of the cliff.
Yeah.
So that's why, for me, my resilience and me being able to stand up is because of the relationships I have around me, the people that are prepared to say, okay, Viv, you're doing great. And the staff are so encouraging. You know, they're sending me emails and stopping me in the hallway saying, Viv, my family's safe because of what you've done. So thanks for doing that. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
And that helps, but the communication through a crisis is critical.
Yeah.
And so it's being transparent, being very real. You know, I'm sharing Maroba's vulnerabilities, that we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough PPE, you know, but I'm also, at the same time, I'm using every contact that I have to keep my finger in every pie that will say, okay, who can help us when that crisis exacerbates into stage 3 or amber, or goes from green, amber to red in our pandemic plan. Who are my outside resources?
Practically, you've got so many stakeholders to adhere to and so much, you know, from a policy procedure. Where do you go for that help?
Well, that's where it's important to know your network and who are the important stakeholders within your organisation. Because there's lots of stakeholders, you know, there's hundreds of stakeholders, but, you know, primarily, you know, being informed by the residents. So they're out, you know, they're paying to be here. They're our most vital stakeholder. Our staff are critical stakeholders in this, because we know that overseas, for instance, where staff just fled the building, just left people. And that's really, you know, that's pretty serious. So we need to treat our staff as a significant and serious stakeholder in this. We need to consider, well, the Prime Minister is a stakeholder in this. He's giving directives. We need to appreciate how vital our families are as stakeholders, because, you know, they're either going to support or not support us. So we need to be communicating. Our PR company, you know, we would go a long time without having to use the services of a PR company. But I thought, no, this is important time. This is extra special communication required. We need to call on experts because, you know, that's not my day-to-day business. It's, you know, I need others' expertise. So legal information, legal input from, you know, a local legal firm has been really important. To call on our industry bodies for information. Our public health unit has been vital. They've been a great source of information. They're Hunter New England Health Area Health Service. So it's about knowing who the stakeholders are in this style of crisis, and actually accessing them, attending the vital webinars. Often I see, you know, there's only a few aged care providers on those webinars, and I just think, gosh, where are our colleagues? You know, this is really important information. And again, I've felt that, you know, being on those, I've been able to be better informed here and also better able to challenge what the external people are doing around aged care. And they're listening to that. So we've now got a lot more traction. We have a lot more confidence about what might happen in the event of that. So it's understanding who your stakeholders are, who your support team could be. So they may not be a normal stakeholder, but they can be your support team brought in for this, and then using that, work in the room with that, even though nobody's in the room anymore. But, you know, use those people. Don't think you can do it all on your own, and then communicate.
And I think one of the things that's important, and I think this is why people have fallen down, is that they're so overwhelmed that more information, is just too much. And so
Yes.
it's about understanding that you will receive support and help when you do go into those meetings or webinars.
Yeah.
So having a list of the things that you need to focus on, from your amber, green to red, whatever that might be, and going, right, prioritize, let's focus on that, and just trying to tackle that at once and pull it all out, but then tackle each as you go. Because I think there's been a lot of services that just shut down, really needed services, food services, crisis support services that shut down because they just didn't know how to handle the crisis. And they felt overwhelmed. And so I think we just underestimate that, but being able to just reach out in a small way, just take one step. I think it's Martin Luther King Jr. says, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. And I think so many people just think, I've got to fix everything. Just, actually, no, you just have to fix this little bit.
Yes.
So that's just a really important, I think, take home, knowing how to step forward.
And this is all happening in the context where community or people that don't know aged care think that aged care homes are hospitals.
Yeah.
Now the funding that I get, something like $230, $40 a day, compared to just a basic medical unit in a public hospital for older people might be getting $880 to $1,200 a day. Wow. And people think I'm supposed to deliver the same service and have the same stock cupboard and all the rest of it. Remember, it's a home. It's not a hospital, but I'm expected to have all that. But the funding just doesn't go anywhere near me having all of that. Yeah. And so having these advisors and, again, being transparent and communicating is the key to this. And this has been, one of the things I haven't thought about a lot, but this has been a great opportunity to re-educate the public, anyone that will listen, to really understand the plight that we are in aged care. So I can tell you there is so many great directors of care out there, directors of nursing. They get up every day to want to make a difference, but when you've only got X number of funding, and the funding's here, the expectations up there, you've got no show. So they get burnt out and they leave the system. We're losing fabulous people from this system because of that expectation gap and funding and expectation gap. And until we get that closed, we are just going to be, trying to hose off fires all day long.
With the pandemic, you have stepped up in a certain way to lead in the aged care sort of sector. How do you, as a leader, manage, when you've got the aged care facility that you are looking after and the staff and the clients, but then on top of that, you've stepped into a role of, voicing your thoughts and voicing your strong values because of the care factor that you have for the not-for-profit sector. How does that impact you as a leader?
Well, it's, I'm much older now. And I guess in saying that, it's about there's less time for us to get things right. So I don't now. I might have over the years ago gone around and made everything nice and right for the right time to say this and the right time to say that. Well, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I just say it.
Yeah.
If somebody gets up my nose, I'll just say it, because time is short and there is still yet too much to do in the aged care space, and people are playing politics, they're playing nice, and we can't. So I got a call from the Quality and Safety Commission to say the Prime Minister had put in a formal complaint. And I said, and Tamara came and got me and she said, Viv, we need you in this room because this complaint's about what you've done and what we've done. So I went in the room and I said to the lady straight away, I hope you are recording this for quality and training purposes because the Prime Minister needs retraining. Now, they're just about falling off their seats. Their jaws are on the table listening to what I'm saying, and I let fly.
Yep.
I thought, no, I'm not going to play nice. Our values are being challenged. Our efforts are being challenged. We're being put into question. We're being thrown under the bus. I'm not going to sit back and play nice just because the Prime Minister's put the call in. And I let them have it. And I said, now I'll tell you one more thing. You haven't asked me this question. Will I tolerate bullying? No, I won't. I said, we're Australians here and we are role models, and we say to our people, say no to bullying. So I'm saying no to the Prime Minister, and I'm saying no to the family that's bullying me. Did you take a note of that so you can get back to him with that message? So again, yes, and that moment is what put me on national television, because then I was selected to then go to this meeting with over 900 participants, with the Minister for Ageing and the Chief Medical Officer, who had constantly been degrading and making negative remarks about the aged care sector and criticising everything we'd done, and yet no other nation has done what we have done in protecting older people. Not one. And yet we were thrown under the bus for that. So I haven't worked so long in healthcare to be thrown under the bus about doing the right thing. Yes, if I've done the wrong thing, throw me under every bus if you want. But if I haven't done the wrong thing, and neither does the sector. So I got picked to ask that question, and then they started to listen. And then I was asked, every peak body said, well, could we get Viv to be our voice for the nation? And that's how that happened. Well, because why? I didn't play nice. I said, well, I've got one moment to say what's on my mind, and I said it, and I said it with every bit of passion that's running through my blood. They couldn't get away from it. Now, whether they liked it or not, I didn't ask to go on national television, but everyone else said, be our voice. And yet, in the days after that, I was asked to do various interviews, and the reporter said to me, Viv, we've contacted a number of aged care services and they keep referring us to you because they do not want to be named. Now, that broke my heart. So how does it feel as a leader? That broke my heart, that people are happy to have someone else be the voice, push someone else forward to be the voice, but they weren't prepared to be named. And yet when I called our peak bodies, I just said, I just want to know someone's going to stand with me, because I don't have the resources to have a legal team in Melbourne and a big end-of-town law firm in Sydney. I don't have any resources for that. So I just want to know even one other person in this sector will stand up with me and stand for what is right and refuse to just throw our doors open. And it just all started from there.
What's been the outcome for you stepping out and stepping in front of the bus?
Well, again, I found out how bouncy I am. I'm bouncing off the side of the bus. Look, the outcome has been, I got calls from all over Australia. I had calls from little old ladies in the suburbs saying, Viv, we saw you on television. If you need an old lady with a placard out the front of Maroba, we're there for you. It showed there was community support. Families wrote in, said, Viv, go you. Thank you for standing up. Keep doing what you're doing. Right, so that was important. So it became so public that everybody rallied and support. Now, yeah, I have a couple that aren't supporting us because they, for various reasons, do not believe in vaccination or believe that COVID even exists, or there's conspiracy theory or whatever. But the thing is, I didn't make the law about vaccination. So again, that's another reason why I was reported to the Prime Minister. But he made that law. I didn't make that. I had to implement the law. But the community rally and the rally within Maroba since that moment has just gone to another level of people. Then again, it's like, as I say, I don't ask people to trust me. But in that moment came a lot of trust, because people saw it. They didn't just see it on my sleeve. They heard it out of my mouth. They saw it in my heart. They realised, I'm going to stand our ground here for all of the sake of all of the people. And I just wanted the Prime Minister to work with us, because we have some expertise. He's had none in aged care, but we do. And we just wanted him to work with us. So again, it's that inviting collaboration, inviting him into our space to say, come on, work with us. We want to be we are your hands and feet. You're the legislator. We're your hands and feet. Work with us to do the right thing. And so the tone has changed. So there's the other outcome. The tone coming out of government from those leaders is now completely different. You will see their rhetoric is more positive about aged care and recognising what aged care has done. Now, I heard recently that Scott Morrison had been on a leadership call with global leaders, And interestingly, he was asked, wow, how did you manage to protect all the older people in aged care services, because we couldn't do it? Now, I would have hoped his answer was, well, because the people disobeyed me, was how we managed to protect them. Now, I don't think that was his answer, but that should have been the answer. If he was as real as I am, he would have given that answer. But I'm sure he didn't. But he took the accolades of how marvellously Australia has done in this pandemic.
Yeah. As a leader, you know, you're about to step out onto the ledge of like fight. So you're on your horse, you've got your weapon, you're the only one on your horse, and you're looking at this front of, you know, of battle that you're about to face. What is the thing that where do you glean your strength from?
Okay, I get my strength from this. Over the years, I've faced many challenges that could go quite south, quite ugly, and quite not where I'd like them to go. So what gives me my strength is this. I say in the moment, before I open my mouth, Viv, what are you prepared to lose today? And when I can answer myself and say, everything. I don't need the horse. I just go for it. Now, I see young leaders conflicted because of what they might lose. But until you can get to a place, see, look, I've got a lovely home and I've got a big mortgage just like everybody else, but I'm prepared to lose it. But when we hang on and go against our values and our integrity for the sake of, oh, I've got too much to lose, I can't do this battle, then we've lost the battle. Step back into the crowd and don't open your mouth. But when you know, because you know, that there's nothing you can lose that is going to be worth staining your own integrity and values, you will go for it. That gives me strength. And you know, my faith, you know, why can I answer that question as to I'm prepared to lose everything? Because I know I have a Father in heaven that is my source, not my work. So it's understanding who is your source. So, you know, I had a chairman say to me once, oh, well, I'm really pleased you've got a big mortgage because you can't leave us now. Well, I said, again, in this moment, what am I prepared to lose? I said, well, actually, let me give you the news. You aren't my source. My Father in heaven is my source, and you will never be my source. So if he tells me it's time to go, I'll be going. I won't be staying here just because I've got a mortgage. But yet I see so many young leaders, particularly in healthcare, won't speak up because of fear of what they will lose. So that's the message, is ask yourself, what am I prepared to lose today? And if you can answer everything, you've got the guts and you've got the balls, you've got everything to go for it.
Yeah. And I think when you've been through multiple tragedies where you felt you've had to lose everything, you realize that the things that matter most, that everything that you need is inside yourself and in your faith and in, you know, the things around you. Like it might be certain people. So you just need one person to be sitting beside you that will, you know, pick you up if you fall down, you know, and still love you anyway. And when I think when you've gone through a tragedy where you feel like you've lost everything, it doesn't matter. Like, it's like, what's the worst? A challenge like this is what's the worst that could happen. You know, I've kind of been through the worst. So
that's right.
And I think that's defendant of that. So lastly, because you and I can talk forever, what are the blessings that have come from this?
Well, the great things have been knowing, discovering capacity of people and the real value of relationships. So like being able to pick up the phone to, you know, to Meg, I call it phone a friend. And now everybody here uses that expression, oh, I'm going to phone a friend. I say, oh, which friend is it? You know, because we know there's people around us that just, you know, just wanting to help us and support us. So in a crisis, if you look around you when there's nobody there, that's a sad outcome. But if you look around and say, wow, I didn't know what a great friend that person was to Maroba and to me personally. Or, gee, I didn't know that family felt so good about us. That's awesome news, because we feel good about them and we feel good about their mum or dad, but we didn't know how great they felt about us. So, again, it just enhances the relationships we have with people and those that we care for and those that are in our service. So teamwork, the value of teamwork. If you try and do it all on your own, there's no way. I mean, look at me. I'm a frail person. I really am. Yes, I'm a frail person. But I can't do it on my own. I need the team and the strength of the team. But it's about, understanding, my capacity to lead those teams, to let them get on with their jobs, to, when to corral them in, when to send them home, when to say, stop, you need a break, all of those things. So the teamwork just really does make the dream work. That's one expression we use here a lot, and it really does. And the value of communication, again, the value of relationships. So any crisis, and organisations go through many crises. So it may not be a global crisis, but it may be, the death of a leader of an organisation, a much loved leader. That's a crisis for that organisation. It's how do the people left rise up in their resilience to take hold of the situation and just keep embracing others and supporting them and just reassuring and saying, look, we can get through this together. Remember, we did it before, and that's what they want us to do. And it's really important that people, the rest of the team. So it's, again, leadership should be building away from yourself. So yes, I say yes, I'm the captain, but the thing is, I'm all the time trying to build away from myself so that there isn't a complete dependency on me. I don't want that, because I keep saying to people, I'm not going to be here in a few years. I'll be gone, and and I want all of you to stay on this team so you get to walk me out of the building on my last day. I don't want to keep bringing new people. I want this team, and I want you to be the best you can be. But that means tweaking and working and speaking and counselling and bring correction and adding to their lives. And, there's so much work to do in that. But it's great to do it in a pandemic because you're under the greatest pressure to do it.
So this is a rogue question, I love, and I know I did say the last one was the last one, but what is the future? What is your dream for the future for aged care?
That it would that aged care would genuinely be relationship based, and that we would not have a police state, because it is a police state now. The quality agency used to be collaborative and work with us. Now the settings are such that you won't even get a report or a discussion necessarily before they've even left the building, so you don't even know what's could be wrong or need adjusting. It's getting people into sanctions now. When you can't take new people and you're crippled financially, and then you get a sanction. That's not restoring an organisation. And the thing is, because healthcare and aged care is such a human service, yet we're treated in a punitive way all the time, and are bashing us up and hit us over the head with another stick, and let's find another layer of compliance, let's reassure the public, let's add some more compliance and more and more and more. But if you're truly in human services, we should be having an approach that truly allows the heart to flow. Now, do I know what that exact model looks like? I don't know exactly, but I know what I've been doing for all these years to work towards having that model of relationship and really overflow of the heart in services. So culture in an organisation is so well written about, but at the point of care, we don't always see it. But so until we raise up the culture and the values through the point of care people, instead of just adding it to a job description, then we aren't going to have the aged care system that we want. Now, having said that, my plan as a single, aging, childless woman is to come into Maroba, because it's such for me that I would be very comfortable living here. That is my choice. But so I know if we can do it here as an independent small provider with, crippled in our resources financially with this pandemic and the years of poor funding, then I know it can happen elsewhere if people have the heart and don't have the fear. So that's the thing. It's the fear that is stopping, and people are dancing the compliance tune instead of the heart tune of service.
We can't put a price on heart. That's the problem.
No.
And we have got to a point where that's been the way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Viv. It was so lovely to talk to you. I really appreciate your time and our chat. And I know that so many people will be inspired by this and are continually being inspired by you and what you do. Thank you for stepping out. Thank you for always having our elderly, our history, we are here because of them. Thank you for putting them forward for all that you do. I personally really appreciate it. But I know
Thanks, Gracie. Thank you.
I will put all the information. If you want to support Maroba, which you can, they will take donations. They're a not-for-profit. If you would like to support Maroba, you can do so. I will leave the links for Maroba in the comments below. Thank you. If anyone has anything nice and lovely to say to Viv, please comment below. Thank you. Have a great day, Viv.
Thank you. Bye.